Now, the number of refugees has hit a record high, with over 70 million people displaced around the world last year. That's according to a new report by the United Nations, which has warned that real numbers are likely to be much higher.
From Venezuela to Myanmar, growing conflict around the world has seen a rise in people forced to leave their homes. The United Nations Global Trends report says that at the end of 2018, 70.8 million people were displaced, 2 million more than the year before. The reasons range from persecution, conflict and violence to human rights violations. It's the highest number the UN Refugee Agency has seen since it was established some 70 years ago. Among this number, nearly 3 in 5 people, or more than 41 million, are displaced within their home countries. Some 13 million of them were only just displaced in the past year. One of the biggest contributors to that is the crisis in Venezuela. Over 4 million Venezuelans are known to have left the country in recent years to escape massive inflation and political turmoil. But the burden of the refugee crisis is largely being shouldered by developing countries, not Western nations, as political rhetoric might suggest.
When you say Europe has a refugee emergency, or the United States or Australia, no. Most of the refugees are in fact in the countries next to where the war is. And unfortunately that means mostly in poor countries or in middle-income countries. That's where the crisis is. That's where we need to focus.
Turkey is home to the world's largest refugee population, with some 3.7 million people, many from Syria. Other major host countries include Pakistan, Uganda, Sudan and Germany. And in Lebanon, 1 out of 6 people are refugees. On the other hand, just 16% of the world's refugees are hosted in developed nations. The UN refugee chief has appealed to Western nations to do more, saying that the number of refugees arriving on their shores was manageable.
This is the crisis of solidarity that I have mentioned. It is identifying refugees and migrants with the problem, instead of people that are fleeing from a problem.
Mr. Grandi also zeroed in on U.S. President Donald Trump's immigration policies, urging Washington to give refugees at the Mexican border a fair hearing and to end its policy of child separations.